Might seem a little odd for a chairman of the Republican Party to do this. First thing I want to do is I would ask all the Republicans to give a round of applause to the independents and Democrats that are in this crowd that are going to stand with us for better government this year. Democrats and independents in the crowd, I know this group that's sincere. We want to send some messages to everyone. The first message, perhaps the most important message that we want to send is very simple. We are stating today, loud and clear, on these beautiful fairgrounds, Iowans love Joni Ernst. Period. The other message that we want to send today is that Iowa has the best congressional delegation in the country. The very best. Think of this, folks. Think of this. Today you're going to hear from all 5 of our delegation, our congressional delegation. If the Democrats were holding this today, they would have one person that would be speaking. Dave Lonesack. That's it. And I'm guessing they wouldn't call it the roast and ride. My guess, in honor of Hillary, is they'd call it the email and hide. I thought all night about that one, folks. Another message we're sending is that the Republican Party and our federal delegation and Joni Ernst and even our presidential nominee have not forgotten about our state house races. And what will be next January is a Republican majority maintained in the Iowa House and a Republican majority in the Senate as well. Finally, first and foremost today, you are going to hear a united message. I'm going to look right at the media when I say this. The chairman of the Republican Party is telling you we are sending a united message. We will defeat Hillary in this state.
So we've got our chairman, Jeff Kaufman. We've got our presidential nominee, Donald Trump. So excited about that. We have senior senator from Iowa, Chuck Grassley. What a great man. Grassley works. That's right. We've also got my dear friend, Senator Deb Fisher of Nebraska, who's made the trip over. She serves with me on the Senate Armed Services Committee. Welcome. We also have our entire congressional delegation and our congressional candidate, and it's wonderful to have them here as well. But before we hear from them, I wanted to take a minute, just a minute, and thank all of you, because as I'm looking out across the crowd, I am seeing a lot of folks that spent a lot of time knocking on doors and making those endless phone calls during 2014. And because of your efforts, folks, again, thank you. I'm now serving in the United States Senate. God bless you. This election could not come at a more important time. As we look around the globe, we are confronted by many, many challenges. Our country needs a change. In the Republican Party, we have that pathway forward to change. We need to get it done this year. We need to do that. You did it in 2014 when you chose the Iowa way over the Washington way and sent me to the United States Senate. We need to do it again. Our mission didn't end there, though. We have started setting this new path forward, and now it's time to finish what we started. The old ideas of Washington, D.C. don't work. Those top-down policies don't work. Our grassroots ideas, our thoughts, they work. And that's what we need to do in Washington, D.C. There's a lot of folks you want to hear from today, especially maybe a presidential nominee, Donald Trump. So, again, thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, thanks to each and every one of you for your efforts. Thanks for joining us. us here today. God bless you all. We're going to have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks so much. God bless you.
You know, there's one consistent theme I think that we've seen in this interesting election cycle that we've been in. And that theme is that Iowa Republicans and Republicans across this nation are energized and motivated. And you don't have to look far to look at the Iowa caucuses, record turnout, new people coming into the party, caucuses and primaries all across this nation. People have said enough is enough. They're moving to the party, they're engaged, and they want to get this country back on track. And I just want to say to you, so this is not the time to give up. The stakes are too high, and we're counting on you to keep that energy, that engagement, and that momentum going. Elections matter. Elections matter.
You know, folks, Republicans must unite, and I believe that we will, because we know what is at stake in this election. It's the Supreme Court. It is the rule of law. It is that old notion that we have out there that our laws should apply to everyone, no matter who you are, and no matter if you're politically connected or not. We need the laws of this country to apply to all of us. And there's something else that's at stake here. It is our free and open society. This is the idea that people should be allowed to disagree, but we can speak our minds. We can determine our own destiny, but then we come together. We believe that these are good things, and they are essential for human happiness. We can have those honest disagreements, folks, about how we're going to pursue them, but we are all in perfect agreement that these values are worth pursuing.
At my town meetings, I constantly hear the people of Iowa telling me how economically insecure they feel from 8 years of Obama economic stagnation and the way that the economy's been run with more taxes, more regulation, and more spending. I hear at my town meetings from Iowans who tell me that they feel very nationally insecure from a president who wants to follow from behind. And when you follow behind, you don't have, when you lead from behind, I should have said, you don't have followers. And when you don't have followers, it's a very insecure world. From that standpoint, our president has brought about a very insecure national security because our friends that used to follow us, we don't have credibility with us, and our enemies don't fear us, and we have a very insecure world. I'm not hearing enough at my town meetings about the fact that of what the Supreme Court should be in the next 40 years. Because this is not an election just about the next 4 years for the President of the United States. This is an election for the direction of the Supreme Court for the next 40 years. And some of you have heard me from various town meetings and meetings of our political party around the state where I said that we have an opportunity to give direction to the Supreme Court, and we know that that direction that Hillary will give the Supreme Court is the same as Kagan, Sotomayor, Ginsburg, and Breyer, to make law, not to interpret law. And we know what kind of members will be put on the Supreme Court because our candidate has put out a list of the type of people he would put on the Supreme Court, and they fall into the category of those who will be strict constructionists of the Supreme Court, not to interpret the Constitution beyond the original intent, and not to interpret laws beyond what Congress intends. Because when they become a super legislature, you can't vote them out of office like you can members of Congress if you don't like the laws they make, because those justices have lifetime appointments. And we've got to make sure that the Constitution is respected by the very same people who have to interpret that Constitution. And so I hope that you will all carry the message that the next 4 years is also, this election for the next 4 years isn't only about who's going to be the next president of the United States, but the direction of the Supreme Court for the next 40 years, not just because of one vacancy there now that I told you I was going to hold my finger in the dike to make sure.
Congratulate all of you for going through 17 candidates for president here. Iowa first in the nation. You did a terrific job. You sorted those 17 candidates out. You made a recommendation to the rest of the country, and however it's analyzed, the last two standing were the last for the two that Iowa sent to New Hampshire. That's good work out of 17. And I look at what's going on today with this presidential race, and I listened to Donald Trump's speech on that Thursday night, his acceptance speech in Cleveland. And point after point after point he made, I agreed with that policy time after time after time. And I said, when I walk out of there, I said, I'm not only going to go into the polls and vote for Donald Trump in November, but I'm going to bring everybody I can with me. All right, I've just given you 3 things. Stand with Chuck Grassley, defend our Constitution and the appointments to the Supreme Court, and enforce our immigration laws, build the wall, and defeat these radical Islamic terrorists and defeat their ideology. All of that can happen in the next administration, and it can turn here in Iowa. So, let's go out and beat Hillary. The time's not right for her. The time has passed. We had enough Clintons. We saw what Bill Clinton does. We saw what Barack Obama's been doing to undermine our Constitution, and we know what Hillary would do. So if that doesn't give you enough motivation to jump out and bring your neighbors to the polls, I don't know what is. And look at your family, look at your children, look at your grandchildren, look up to God, and ask Him what He would have you do to save this country. Go to the polls and get this election. Thank you very, very much. God bless you all.
3 issues regarding security: economic security, national security, and the securing of our constitutional rights and liberties. And we know that Iowans are frustrated. Americans are frustrated. I'm frustrated. I share your concerns. I'm listening. I'm your voice in Washington. Agriculture income was down 1/3 last year. That's a real gut punch to anybody, right? Especially rural economy. Real medium income has not really changed in over a decade. Now, some think that an unaccountable regulatory regime and a 75,000-page tax code is the answer to our problems. I think we would disagree. The federal government does not create jobs. You do.
Right. Served in the U.S. Army Medical Corps for 9 years as a general surgeon. Go Army. 22 years ago, a little over now, I met a farm girl from Iowa, from northern Iowa. We were married less than 6 months after our first date, and we now, 12 years ago, we moved to the Iowa City area. Julie and I own and operate a small surgical clinic in Coralville. Most the thing I value most is I'm a father of 3 teenage boys. Yay boys, I guess. Yay teenagers, I wish I was a teenager again. It's a long time ago. And it's really being a father that motivated me to run. As I think most fathers would feel, and this would apply to mothers too, we worry about the legacy we're going to leave behind for our children.
If you like the way things are going in Washington, D.C., if you think the country's heading in the right direction, if you want more career politicians in Washington, D.C., if you want the ruling political class in Washington, D.C. to be running your life and your small business, by all means, vote for Hillary Clinton and vote for my opponent, Monica Vernon. However, if you think we're heading in the wrong direction, if you want to change Washington, D.C. and the way we do business in that town, if you want someone who will stand up to the special interest, the lobbyists, and the big moneyed interest in Washington, and will stand up to the GOP when that's necessary. If you want people to do that, you send me back to Congress and you send Donald Trump to the White House. Thank you very much. God bless you.
We need new leadership and a Republican administration that will protect our nation against our enemies. Donald Trump is that man. He, along with Senator Ernst, are supported by a tremendous group of leaders here in the great state of Iowa. Our Lieutenant Governor, Kim Reynolds, a personal friend of Joni Ernst. Senator Chuck Grassley, our outstanding senior senator, who is going to win a resounding re-election this year. Our dynamic new congressmen, Rod Blum and David Young, both doing a great job representing Iowa. And of course, Congressman Steve King. And at last, and definitely not least, the great group of Republican candidates we have for the Iowa legislature. You know, we've been working to get a majority for a long time in the Iowa Senate. Republicans control the House, and we're going to keep that. But this year, we're going to gain that Republican majority in the Senate that we so desperately need to move this state forward. We have great candidates up and down the ballot, and they're working hard every day to earn your votes and that of your friends and neighbors.